the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded March 7th, 2011. Episode 33, Monday, Meta Monday.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble from Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Dave.
How's it going?
It's going good, man. I'm sitting at my new bench. I love it.
Awesome.
Yes. Hopefully the sound sounds a little better. The quality sounds a little better. I'm back on my old mic. I'm back sitting. My basement's still cold, but yeah, I posted some pictures, and man, it's working out great so far. So,
Excellent.
New computer.
Except for the no end of problems we had this morning.
Oh, well, yeah. Only a half an hour to get us all set up. But
Yep.
compared to our old shows, I mean, that was every time we did half an hour, so hopefully this will be it.
Yeah, it should be. Because, like I had dramas, my headphones broke, and then I tried to tweet the image of it, and then the the Y-Frog image engine didn't work or something, so that was a fail, and then the wife had hidden the external microphone that I used to stream through to Chris, and,
Fiasco, just all around.
Fiasco, and then you had audio problems, because you're using the new Windows 7 machine.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And, no end of dramas. And I'm just noticing on my VU graph here on Audacity that it's doing that variable peaking thing again.
Oh, no.
Oh, I can't win. It just, dynamically gains up the mic.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Can't win.
Can't win.
So, if today's thing sounds terrible, well, yeah, it's not entirely our fault. Or it is, because we're just stupid, right? We just don't know how to operate modern electronics, obviously. It's all too hard.
Yep, but we made it. We're here. We're talking.
Awesome. Well, I've got one ear. This is a new experience for me, because because the headphones literally broke, the left-hand side speaker actually broke off. So now I've got a bit of plastic digging into my head on the left-hand side of my head. And the right-hand side, I've just got the one speaker. But I find it a bit disconcerting. I much preferred to have the two speakers in the ear.
I feel it.
Right.
So let's get into the list. I wanted to start with a correction, actually.
Go for it.
So last week we were talking about the radio show, the other radio show. That was actually the title of our post was I don't remember. That's it now.
Right.
The competing competition or something like that.
Something like that. Yep. How time flies, huh?
I said it as design news, and it's actually electronic design. And so
oops.
that's big oops. Sorry about that, everybody over there. We had a couple people comment on our site, including the host Joe Desposito came over and commented.
Yes, thanks, Joe.
And that was actually the second point of contention, because I got all pissed because I was thinking, they said it was the first electronic design radio show, and I thought it was. Oh, I can't believe they said that. We're the first electronic design radio show, even though we're not really.
I listened to it, and I agree. That's the impression I got. And they said, this is groundbreaking. It's a world first. Yeah, it was a world first for their website.
Right, and that's what it was. It was their electronic design, and it was the first electronic design radio show. So,
well,
they are correct.
They did like to talk it up. Well, yeah. Good on them. They want to talk it up. We talk up our show.
That's
it's all
right.
good.
Yep. So
fine. Okay.
So that was the first ever Amp Hour correction on air.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't pick you up on that because you put it in the notes, and then I just read it from the notes, and it didn't. Even I knew it was electronic design. Sorry, I almost goofed it again.
There's only so many. We kind of went through this when we were trying to name our show. There's only so many iterations of different words you can really have.
Very true.
You're talking about designing electronics, and there's electrical and electronics, and those kind of have different meanings. And then, you have to start kind of spreading outside of there. Even EDN is electronic design news, right? And EE Times is electrical engineering times. But there's only really so many things. So there's usually an E and a D and an N or a T or something in there all the time. So.
It's easy to get them mixed up.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And I, of course, need to do a brag. I have a new microphone stand and a microphone shock mount. I tweeted the photo of it if you want to have a look. It's pretty sexy looking. Unfortunately, it's to get it right in front of me. It's right in front of me at the moment, but then I've got to move the notebook off to one side so that I can actually see the screen. So I've got to talk into the mic and then sort of dart my eyes sideways so that I can see the screen.
Yeah.
And it's still partially obscured by the pop screen. So
I know.
I don't know. Can't win. I don't know how the pros do it all day.
We're so
They
inexperienced
must
with this
end
stuff.
up with. Oh, I know. Noobs.
I know, right? Yeah.
Totally.
All right. So you want to jump into some workbench of the week?
Yes, please. And it'll probably be the last for a while, we think.
Yes, we'll talk about that after we go through the workbench of the week.
Yes, we will. So go for it. First up.
Okay,
Shoot.
first up is Lucas Weakley. And actually, I talked to Lucas. He actually interviewed me for his school. And then
right.
I was talking about it, and he said he wanted to submit a bench. And he's got a great one. It's just a, nice little workbench there. He's got a picture of them. I'm not sure what he's holding in his picture, actually. It looks like some kind of weatherproof box.
I can see it. He's got one of those weatherproof boxes with the O-ring seal, the pelican case, I think they call them. I don't know if it's a genuine pelican case or not, but yeah, it's got a whole bunch of stuff on the front panel, drilled through the front panel.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on there, but he's in the shot. Has he got one of those Justin Bieber haircuts? I'm sorry, is that one of the... or am I too... I think
you're right. I think you're right. That is kind of...
Yeah, is that the Justin Bieber they call it? Anyway, he's a young fella. Good on him. He's smiling. I love it.
Yeah, so I was
awesome.
talking to him about his school program. He's actually in a high school program that's engineering-based. And so that's actually pretty cool.
That's great. Oh,
yeah.
Man,
so
we never had anything like that when I was a kid.
Yeah, he's doing FIRST robotics, and actually, there's a couple items in the that works out well because there's a couple items in the discussion list we hopefully will get to about FIRST and education and stuff. So maybe we could talk more about that later.
Absolutely.
But very cool, very cool.
Yes, excellent.
Next up is our first and our last female submitter to Workbench of the Week.
I'm excited about this one.
I know. So it's Irmi, and she's from Austria, and that's another first. So.
Hey, Irmi, thanks for submitting. And she's in the photo. There she is.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. And she does admit, she does actually admit that she borrowed the Rigol scope in the photo from a boyfriend who didn't want to be in the shot.
Boo.
So there you go. I don't know.
Props for her for being in the
there?
photo, but not, I don't know what the boyfriend's doing.
Right, but the boyfriend has a Rigol scope, and she borrowed that, and
if he's taking the photo too, I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, okay, granted.
I guess if they didn't have a tripod, they could have done that, but
yeah, possibly.
Yeah,
but I'm excited. The first female workbench of the week.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome.
There's going to been a good uptick about female participation in electronics. I think it's on a steady increase, which is really good.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's getting huge.
Yeah, especially with when we talk about FIRST, I think there's a lot of stuff. That's been a really good positive force for that, at least in the U.S. and for.
Well, here in Australia, we had a bunch of the FIRST kids over to our work, our work sponsor. The FIRST contest, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
They sponsor the robot they're building or whatever, and all the kids came in, and yeah. I mean, more than half of them are girls, I think. It's just
That's awesome.
It's great.
That's really great.
Yeah. Fantastic. And, anyway, we'll talk about that sort of stuff later, but we just think it's terrific.
I just wanted to point out on the link that Irmi has for her name, how you can put in your name when you comment, and it'll link people to your site. And so the second or third post down is a DAC, a 20-bit DAC, and I translated from German, but it says porn for engineers. So I'm guessing that's a borrowing of your phrase and translated to German.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Good to see it gets out there.
I don't know what it would be in German. I don't. Oh no, that's actually in English. Okay. Porn for engineers is in English.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for that, Irmi. Terrific. Yeah. Good to see.
Oh, I think that was actually it's Lukey is who wrote porn for engineers, so whoever that is. That must be the... yeah. Anyways, that's awesome. So thank you, both of you. You're probably, at least for the near future, you are the last workbench of the week. So
Sob.
Although, we might make one exception when my video comes out.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I made a video for my build, so... Might have to make one.
The advantages of being a co-host, huh?
I guess so, yeah.
Make your own agenda. Yep.
Yeah. And so we have other changes on the bill, possibly, for the show. Not too much.
Possibly. But let's talk about them. Go for it.
Yeah, so one of the things... So I actually posted a question on the EEV blog forum, which also goes by EEV forum now, if people didn't know, Dave registered that domain name, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I did. I thought about changing the name, and then, like, because it was better. You know, I thought it should be, like, have its own domain and should be separate. But then I got a bit scared that, it's already indexed in Google and it's got this, SEO, search engine optimization, and all that sort of crap.
Yeah.
And then I got scared and I changed it back. But yeah, you can do eevforum.com and it links
That's easy
over.
to remember, too. I mean, not
Yeah. But Google still indexes the old site. So I don't know if you got any thoughts on that. If you're an SEO expert, will it hurt my site if I change over? Should I do it now for the long term? I don't know.
I mean, if you're an SEO expert, you're probably not listening to this show.
Right. Okay. You're probably earning zillions of dollars. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or you're just not bothering with electronics.
Right. Got it. Because the forum just passed. I tweeted it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, just passed 500,000 views last month.
That's crazy.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hi to everyone on the forum, and thanks. That's just fantastic.
That's a good resource. I mean, there's a lot of great people on there, and I've been around to a lot of forums. I always try and find different communities, and EEV blog's right up there. So that's good.
Yep. Absolutely, I love it.
So one of the things we had talked about on this particular thread, I'll link it in the show notes, but the like we were talking about getting rid of workbench of the week, which we're definitely doing for the time being.
For the time being, not get rid of it completely. We might bring it back occasionally, but we won't actively seek out more entries, I don't think.
Right. And
because I think we're eventually going to hit a plateau with that. There's so many listeners, and they're all going to submit. The ones that want to submit will submit, and we'll just end up with a dribble of workbench of the weeks.
Yeah, I agree. And people say, and it's tough too, because it's radio or podcast or whatever you want to call this, and that's tough for if we're just explaining it. It's not nearly as cool as if you're actually going and looking at it. So even though we give that option, it's not really an option for everyone.
Yeah, if you're driving in your car, and you're sitting there for an hour listening to the amp hour, then if we waste 20 minutes talking about a workbench, that
exactly.
It's a bit pointless.
Yeah,
anyway.
And so you only saw like 10 to 20% of people actually going to look at that stuff, anyways. But not a big deal. Other things we're looking at, one of the people, Stroob, who we see on Twitter sometimes too, he suggested maybe a project thing so people could submit the projects they're working on. We could talk about them. Maybe if they're in progress and people want feedback, or people want, if we're talking about on the show, then other people could also, go to their site and ping them with ideas about if they're having problems or something. And so I like that idea. I don't know. What do you think, Dave?
It's not bad, but it also suffers. We will definitely do it, but it also suffers from the same problem. If we go in depth of talking it, trying to describe it, then it doesn't work on radio. It's
true.
hard. You really have to go look at the photo, but we can at least mention them and
go,
true. Look, somebody's got this great open source, widget they're working on, and if you're, it's a cool idea, and if you're interested, go check them out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That kind of thing. So more from probably a shout out point of view almost, and just a quick sort of, mention of the overview.
Yeah, that'd be good. Maybe I'll set up a form for that kind of thing. And that's nice, too, for the, you can just set up a Google form real quick, and it'll just pop it right into a spreadsheet, so I like that.
Right.
Another thing we talked about was actually doing a live show and having people being able to call in or write in or text in or whatever. And that kind of was downplayed. Doesn't seem like a lot of people want to be hanging out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the East Coast time, or whatever time it is there, 8:30 now.
Yeah, it's 8:30. No, it's almost 9 here in Australia.
Yeah.
So,
although we do have the time change coming up, so that'll be a little different.
Yeah, we do. That becomes beneficial, doesn't it? Because we're worst case at the moment.
Right.
We goofed it up last time.
Right. We're going to get it right this time. I hope.
I think it must go back. So it was good. It got bad. We're in the peak of badness, and now we're going better.
Yep. Yeah. So,
come what? What's the date for the change? March 15th, is it? Or?
That's for the US. I'm not sure.
That's for the US. No, Australia is, I don't know. I have to check.
Yeah.
It might be end of March or...
So
I think it's probably end of March.
By April, we'll be on the good timing, and that's like 6 o'clock p.m. here is 9 o'clock, or is 7 o'clock a.m. there. So
awesome.
Something like that
works. Yep. That works well.
Yeah. So,
the live thing. Yeah, I don't know. But they have to be special guests, I think. And they have to be really teed up in advance, and they've got to be keen to do it. And
that would be people.
There's lots of
other people writing in, right? But I think the guest thing is a totally separate thing. I think, at least how I think of it.
Right.
So I would love to have guests.
Okay. So you got the guest thing and you got the call-in
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And I would love to have guests. I'm still working on my setup. We had enough trouble today, but I think I would love to have people on here like Jeff or Jerry or Phil or Lamore, anyone who like is in the scene or even people that maybe everyone hasn't heard of, like just some prominent engineers that maybe no one's heard of, but they're doing some really cool stuff. I'm more than happy to bring them on here and talk to them about projects they're working on and just kind of shoot the breeze with them, So I'm.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The only problem with that is they've got to have a good mic. They've got to have a decent external mic because we don't want to do the Skype thing and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty shitty. I think audio quality is important.
Yeah, I do too.
So yeah. So they've got to have the capability to have a good mic at their end, actually record their conversation into a program and then send it to us so that we can actually mix in later. If we try and do the whole live thing via Skype, no, it's going to be an epic fail, I'm sure.
Yeah. And that's one thing I'm looking at with this new computer I have is hopefully I want to see if there's a way to actually get people to stream directly to to the box I have here. And if that's the case, then I could record locally at higher fidelity sound. Like better than VO.
Okay, so what? Is that an internet-connected mixer or something, is it?
Yeah, I've seen programs like it, but I haven't played with them yet because I've been waiting on this hardware.
That'd be nice, yeah.
That'd be really nice. If we could, especially if you and I, even if you and I could just record on the same thing, then it would just be, we just pop the show right out, basically.
Yeah, we could. If we could actually record if we could stream directly in high quality, have a dedicated streaming link at, I don't know, at 500k samples per second or something like that, massive bandwidth, just complete overkill kind of thing, then it could work. But then if you get a dropout here or there,
well, we'll see.
Because we are streaming around the planet, so I don't know. But maybe there's like a really robust, sort of algorithm, but you can't because it's real time, right? So you can't really... it's got to be streamed real time. If you had like a 10-second delay or something like that, then you could actually buffer it and then send it. And if it got any errors, it could, a checksum or something, it could ask to resend. But then it's not real time then. So
so
I don't know. If anyone has any experience with that, then
exactly.
Please.
Exactly. And that's the thing I wanted to point out for all these things we talked about. If you have any feedback on this stuff, that's the reason we're talking about it right now, because we care about. We don't want to lose you guys as listeners. We think you're the bee's knees.
Duck's guts.
Yeah, the duck's guts. There you go. Yeah, and we don't want to lose people over changes. And so even if you're really keen on Workbench of the Week, if you can't live without it, let us know that, and we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
And then there's
one of
the 800-pound gorilla in the room, of course.
Ah, right. Yeah. Oh, tell us about it.
Well, that would be. We've been approached by preliminarily about advertising, and it's a maybe. I don't know.
Well, it's not just advertising; it's sponsorship.
Yes.
Which is kind of different to ads. Like I'll pay you X per month to stick up an ad on your site.
That's true.
And that's just it's an ad. You can just have as many as you want, and I've got them on my site, and it really isn't a big deal.
Right. That's true.
But sponsorship's a bigger thing, it's a bigger gorilla.
Yes,
so
it is.
If you've listened to if you listen to the electronic design show, whatever, has it got a name? Electronic radio?
Engineering radio it is.
Engineering radio,
right,
there we go. If you've listened to that, then, they were clearly sponsored by a certain parts distribution company, and they made, it was extremely clear, and I wouldn't like to have that level of sponsorship, because I hate the pre-roll ads.
I know.
Post-roll ads at the end aren't too bad, stuff like that. The big 20-second pre-roll at the start's a bit much, I think. So
I think if we were going to do it, we'd do it like Leo Laporte does. That's the gold standard, I think. Leo, he says, here's a service we actually believe in, and he has enough advertisers where he believes in them, and he says, they actually like the service. I don't think we do anything different. We're not looking for any kind of riches here, so we're not. We wouldn't advertise a product unless we or allow a product to sponsor us unless we actually believed in it.
Unless we thought it was a good product. Yep, absolutely.
Right. So I don't think. I would hope that we wouldn't come across poorly, but I don't know. Let us know what you think, because again, that's something else that could turn listeners away, and the listeners are important.
Yeah, well, I've gotten criticism for, just doing a simple product review.
Yeah.
Every time I do a product review, and it's a good product review, because the product is actually good, people start claiming sell out, what? I'm supposed to say every product's shit? So you just can't win.
Yeah,
so you're always going to have those
to
people.
review, right?
Yeah, exactly. Do you want me to review the product? Yes. Then, well, if it's good, I'm going to say it's good. And, what more can you do? But if you say that, then people think you're a sellout. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's tough.
You just, anyway.
But we'd love everybody's
ignore
opinion about how you guys want to participate. And we have some ideas. You might have some ideas. And I'm sure you all have opinions because we're human and people love having opinions. Lord knows we do. Yeah.
Me in particular.
Yeah, you have particularly loud.
I'm full of it. Yeah, I'm full of it. I'm full of something. Love it. Anyway, it's only we haven't even started talking about this sponsorship yet. We've just been approached with a possible, let's kind of sort of discuss it. So anyway, we want people's ideas.
Yep. All right, moving on. What's next? We got a lot of stuff on the list. I put a lot of crap on here.
Right. As usual, I didn't. I don't contribute much. I hang my head in shame.
Oh.
Well, no. I can talk about my boards because you wanted to hear about this as well.
I did. Yes. So we talked about these last week. This is a follow-up.
Yes, I did. I finally got my boards. I got a little project I'm working on. I got my little PCBs from ITEAD Studio. It's ITEAD.
Yes.
Studio.com. If you don't, and no, they're not a sponsor.
Nope, not a sponsor.
Put my radio voice ITEADstudios.com.
All right. First thing that's going to happen though is Dave's never going to do a radio voice if we actually get sponsorship.
That's right. Guarantee that.
Yes.
My high-rise in terminal and my squeaky Aussie accent. Yep.
Nice.
Lends itself well to radio. Anyway, ITEADstudio.com. They sell Arduino clone kits mostly, and parts for the hobbyist and all that sort of stuff. So they've got really cheap stuff like that. But if you go to a little tiny link down the bottom which says open PCB or something, then it goes into their custom PCB service they've got. And what it is it's basically a fixed price service to manufacture a double-sided plate-through solder mask double-sided silkscreen board for $12.
That's a pretty good price.
That includes tooling. Yeah. Okay, that's and I paid $4 postage. So in that, you don't just get one board, you get 10.
Yeah.
So I got 10 of my PCBs. Double-sided plate-through, solder mask, silkscreen, double-sided, the whole works.
Yeah.
For $16 delivered. Are you kidding me?
And that is 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters.
That's up to, here's the restriction. That's up to 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. But if you go to 10, you can go to 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters.
Yep.
And that is, $28. Woohoo! Breaking the bank there.
Yeah.
And you can do a decent sized board on 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters.
For all you non-metrics out there, that's about 3 by 3 inches.
Right. Okay.
So that you could fit a lot of crap on there. I mean, what are the minimum? I don't know. Did we mention this last week? What the minimums are? Like the minimum.
The minimums are 6 thou trace
or 6
and
mil
space.
If you're from not Dave's land.
6 mil or 6 thou trace and space. My board was actually 5 thou because it's really quite a tight layout. So I traditionally do it as a real tight layout. I'll do as 5.5, but I actually redid this because I went to PCB Cart to get a quote, which they're the normal service I use, and I thought they're pretty cheap, but their tooling was like $80, $90 or something because I had 0.3 millimeter holes and I had 5 mil. 5 thou trace and space, and it crept up there, like $120, and so I thought I'd try ITEAD because somebody mentioned them on the forum, and so I rejigged my layout for 6 thou, and the smallest hole is 0.3 millimeters, reasonably tight specs.
Yeah, that's good.
It's pretty good. and there's no issue there at all. And basically, it's a batch service, right? So they're always putting their own boards through. So they just throw your design onto the next batch that goes through. Any spare space, they'll just whack it on there for you, and up to those maximum sizes.
Yeah.
And
how long did that take then?
Well, it took about 3 days before they said they shipped it.
Okay.
But then it took about a week to get to me from Hong Kong.
That's not bad at all.
But because I've heard that there are new Australian customs laws where they're more inspecting packages from Hong Kong now. It literally only started coincidentally last week.
They knew you had boards coming, huh?
When my boards come in. Yeah. So I think that's where the catch-up was. But yeah, they claim only like 3-4 days, but they don't make any rigid thing because it's when their next batch goes through. So, but it certainly won't be 3 weeks. It shouldn't be, it should be days, not weeks. And anyway, the quality is quite impressive. I've seen some photos of other people's boards, and they were slightly misaligned, and mine are slightly misaligned. The holes are slightly misaligned on the pads on the bottom, but there were no breakouts at all. And this is a 0.3 millimeter hole on a 0.6 millimeter pad.
Yeah.
So pretty tight stuff.
Yeah.
And they were excellent quality. The silk screen is a dot matrix type. I'll have to put up some high-res photos. I was going to do a little blog on it, actually.
Okay.
And it's pretty good, although I did notice one of the boards. I haven't inspected them all. One of them had a short between 2 of the tracks. So, But for $16, right? I'm happy to inspect the boards before I solder them,
Yeah.
It's just... Now, here's the big thing, right? I reckon this is game-changing, okay? I thought when PCB Cart came on the scene, they were one of the first for, doing a real, quite low-cost, easy to use service, that kind of thing. And I thought they were kind of game-changing a bit.
Yeah.
But this takes it to a whole new level. When you can get your circuit prototyped in, in a week, turn around, in, double-sided, plate through, solder mask, why would you make your own boards? It's just...
It's starting to get there,
the only reason left is if you need the board that day.
Right.
Straight away, you can't live without, you can't live waiting a week, and... that's the only reason. And if you make a mistake, you just respin it. It doesn't matter. It only costs you another, $20, $30.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? So,
I wonder how much of that is because of the small form factor where they can squeeze that in where they need it. Like
they can squeeze it in. That's entirely what it is. They put it around the outside because there's lots of, space around the outside of the panel. And, that's why the yield may not be as good around, at the edges or something like that. I don't know, but... Yeah,
huh. Yeah. I've used advanced circuits before for like their low cost stuff, and that's about. I think they have some stuff where it's like $33 a board or something like that, but you can get a lot bigger for that. I've used Sunstone and PCB Cart.
But does that include tooling?
Yeah.
Right, and that's per board, is it?
Yeah. So they have like specials where they'll do like 5 for something.
Okay. Well, the highest price service at IT'd is $38, and that gets you 10 by 10 in your choice of colours and board thicknesses.
Right, so that's
and
where
you get 10 boards.
Yeah,
and you get 10 boards. Yeah. So you pay a bit extra for that customised aspect of it, but
it's still $38 for 10 boards. That's a good price. I like that. I wonder what the shipping to the US would be. I might have to just try this.
I don't know. You put it in there, but I paid $4 to Australia. So, well, that's for the small 5x5. I think you pay a bit more for the 10x10. But, geez, Anyway, I reckon the next thing we need for that is like a really cheap, easy to use assembly service, like dirt cheap.
Yeah, that might be a little harder to find.
I know, but there's so many machines out there. There's so much machine capacity out there. There's got to be spare machine capacity, and
but it's not just about that. It's about stocking the reels and having all the parts there.
I know.
It's the logistics of it that are hard.
Yeah, I know, but it's getting there.
It is,
but it's
yeah.
not quite the same level as the PCBs yet. So
You know what would be interesting for that is if there was it would take a whole new type of machine, really, because we see, like, you see pick and place machines that are, maybe 20 reels, 30 reels, 40 reels, whatever.
Yep.
But if you had an entire factory with, if you had like one where you could have all of the reels always loaded in like some large matrix, right? And a robot
goes and selects the one, and so there's no manual intervention. Yep.
Well, no, you could have a 40 reel kind of setup, right? But you always have the reels loaded there, right? And then you would have the boards run through machine A, which might have 50% of the parts you need, and then it runs to the machine B that has the other 20%, and then it would just be trying to group the maximum number of components onto the fastest machines, basically.
Yeah. And where the key comes in there is you, as a designer, have got to know what is on those machines, right? You've got to have transparency with that stuff. And then you actually design and optimize your designs around what your manufacturer can do. Exactly what I did with these boards, right? I knew that they would do 6.6 minimum, so I went and I will now do all my little small boards 6.6 spacing now, because I know that's what IT can do, and they're cheap. And so if you know that your favorite assembly house has got this type of 100N cap and all this sort of stuff, and this type of transistor already loaded on their machine or already in stock, then it pays to use that, pays to design that in, even if it might cost a little bit more.
Yeah. I was kind of imagining a whole new type of system, though, where you have like a program path, basically. So say you had 100 pick-and-place machines, and then, the A boards are going through machines 1, 4, and 6, right? And so it routes it all to those places. You'd have to have a really complicated setup, but once you finally had that in place, you could just program it in, have someone just there maintaining the reels, making sure they're always stocked, and then you could just run them through at high volume, high speed. That's the only way I can imagine the cost getting down enough to really take off, because otherwise it's the loading and unloading of reels.
It's loading and the setup and all that. Well, you still got the setup and stuff like that. So I know. Well, when you put it into a new machine, you've got to set up the datums and stuff again. So I know it's. But still, the people who operate these machines are very quick and very efficient. But the only problem with having 100 machines, as you say, is that once you put that pace down, you've only got like an hour or something to actually put your board through. Otherwise, the pace goes off. So
that's fine. I'd run those boards through in 3 minutes.
But those machines have to be available. So
that's the real question.
You can't put it through one machine and then it's got to sit in the queue waiting for the next machine, because then the pace goes off and fail.
That's a good point. It's kind of the whole idea behind that is like lean manufacturing too, and it's like you always want to try and drive it down to the lowest cost is always going to be if you're smallest, or not the lowest cost, but the most efficient manufacturing is going to be if you have the smallest batch size. So if you could process one board efficiently and at decent cost, that's the best situation. But
absolutely,
in those situations where you have to reload all the reels and everything, that's when it starts being, we have to make 10 boards at a time. Maybe you don't need 10 boards. That's where the real cost comes in. And that's why when you buy one board versus 10 boards, sometimes it's the exact same cost, because there's some minimum you have to get to. So
that's right. And if you're designing a PCB, a lot of people don't realize this. When you're actually designing your board, you've got to think about how many different types of components you've got. You've actually got on your board. If you've got 30 different types of components, or 31 different types of components, and your manufacturer, who uses a certain pick and place machine, that's only got capability for 30 reels, then you're screwed. They're going to charge you, extra for actually putting the thing through twice and changing the reels and, all that sort of stuff. So
time is money, right?
It's absolutely. So they're the sorts of things you got to think about when you're designing something for high volume, or not even high volume, just for machine,
low cost.
just for machine assembly.
It gets really annoying, I have to say. It's like
it does.
It's like the paperwork of the electronics design world, like trying to figure all that crap out and then design to it, and then you can't use this one component, so you have to switch it around, and that messes up three other things.
and
annoying,
smart
but-
companies will have a full-time employee or employees that
Yeah.
actually deal with that sort of stuff on a full-time basis. They're a component engineer or they're a manufacturing engineer.
Yeah.
And they specialize in, dealing with the manufacturing houses and knowing their capabilities and
Yeah.
sorting out all those things. So complex business. Anyway, I'm excited by these boards.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't 100% perfect, geez, for $16, I'm blown away.
Yeah.
It's just it's incredible. So, I don't know. Should I start mentioning this mob? Will they get snowed under? Like I think what happened with PCB Cart.
really?
'Cause I've been promoting PCB Cart for before I started the blog. I think even on other forums, and the word started to get around,
Yeah.
and then I've watched the prices slowly creep up and up and up, and
Yeah, because that's what
as
they do
they
when
got
they
more
can't
popular.
when they can't
It's-
meet demand. They start upping the price
Yeah.
until people are like, I can't do that anymore.
or well, they have to buy extra machines to
that too, yeah.
take hold of
Yeah.
to actually move into bigger premises, and
Yep.
once you get popular, and they're massively popular.
Yeah.
And the prices just keep creeping up. So I'm afraid that the same thing might happen here. So maybe I should keep it a secret. Oops.
A little late for that, Dave. I'll have to edit it
yeah.
out. I got these new
Damn
boards
it.
for beep.
That's right. Anyway, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was impressed.
So we have a follow-up from last week about we were talking about pulling caps off boards and stuff like that, and how that actually broke something. Do you remember talking about
Were
that?
we? No, I don't remember that.
Oh, I don't remember what we were talking.
No,
I do remember saying that though, and basically that was Jerry who was telling me about that. She said how they kept pulling decoupling caps off one of her
right.
designs. So
Okay. Yep.
But,
the joystick, that's right. Well, they actually took them all off.
Right.
That was the problem.
Right.
The main ASIC didn't have a decoupling cap.
Right.
Oops.
and so Atomic Ant wrote in and said there's actually a name for that, and it's
Actually, speaking of which, that's a cool name, Atomic Ant.
Atomic Ant. Yeah,
That's,
probably not a given name.
yeah.
It's probably more of a
No, well, granted, but
Right.
yeah, I just think that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
but it's called Muntzing. I think I said that right.
That's right.
Yeah,
Muntzing.
named after
Yeah, I think I've heard of it before, but no, I'm going to say I've learned something new.
Yeah, that's a great verb. I like it.
Muntzing.
Yeah. I don't know if I really agree with the practice of just pulling stuff off and seeing if it still works, because you need so many test vectors in order to make sure that something actually works. But yeah, he used to do that with TVs. So
Yeah, exactly, and that's where it came from. And then, as far as I knew, it started with I mentioned last week it started with the Japanese TV industry, and they would actually cost cut by taking out components until it stopped working.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I think it dates from the 40s or something. This guy.
he's talking about snipping TV components with wire clippers, so it probably was nothing surface mounted.
Right.
But that's only what?
Okay, and it's talking about valves,
90s.
because valves were very expensive,
Yeah.
and TV might have, 10, 12 valves in it, and they're very expensive. So,
Right.
Whoops, if I take this one out, does it still work? Yay, beauty.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So the same guy, Atomic Ant, he also he also mentioned Weidlerizing.
I don't like pronouncing that.
I don't either.
It's so simple, but
I know, it looks like
I
Widlar,
can
but it's
I
not.
get it wrong every time. It's Widler.
It's Weidler.
Right? Or Weidler.
It's Weidler.
Yeah, yeah.
He should have put two I's in there. But anyways, Bob Weidler, he's one of the first
Yep,
guys.
he's famous.
Yeah,
Yep.
so famous. And so actually, Paul Rako just wrote about him, and he posted a
All
bunch
right,
of
I have to
pictures.
check it out.
Yeah, a bunch of pictures from his brother, Bob Weidler's brother, and there are some awesome pictures.
Oh, I've got to check this out.
Yeah, so everybody should
here it
definitely
is.
check it out.
I've got the link. You've put the link
Yeah,
here. All right.
so he was famous for like a lot of pranks. He blew up an intercom. He brought a sheep to work because he thought the grass was getting too long, and all these great pictures. And then you go down to the bottom, and it's just him flipping the bird right at the camera. It's a brilliant picture, and I'm gonna take this and turn it into a poster. I think I don't know what kind of caption we need for it, but he calls it the Weidlar salute. But man,
Right.
awesome.
Let me have a look. Where's
Yeah.
it? He's flipping the bird.
There's
There
two
we
of
go.
them, yeah.
Oh, there's two of them with the fag hanging out of his mouth. All right.
And
Is that bad? Is that not US terminology?
Oh,
a fag?
We call them cigarettes here, but yeah.
Well, so do we,
Right.
but yeah, the slang term is, a fag.
Yeah, it was...
Which I think comes from where the ones you used to roll your own,
right,
you know?
Yeah. And that's a British thing,
Something
too.
like
I always giggle at that. Can I bum a fag, which means borrow a cigarette.
Right, yeah, exactly. Because the term also has other connotations,
that's right.
which we won't go into.
Right.
But yeah, that's, it's a harmless term that means cigarette.
Yes. Anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so,
That's
I mean,
fun.
you talk about the... I call ham operators the badasses of the analog world, right? But this guy was like the original badass of the analog world. Like, he's kind of an alcoholic, so not great there, but...
Kind of an alcoholic, okay.
Yeah, well, whatever. But,
Right.
he just he helped start the whole industry. So, I mean, you'll hear stories or read stories about him. It's just awesome. But, yeah, just wanted to point that out, too, because Atomic Ant mentioned that. So we'll post a link to Paul's article, and I plan on making a little poster out of that. I'm not sure what it's going to say yet, but...
But warning, I have to rant. Warning, Will Robinson. It's EDN.
Oh yeah.
So EDN, the industry leaders in pop-up ads.
That's right.
Okay.
Can't click a page without getting to one.
You can't get to any EDN page without a full-page ad popping up with a 30-second timer and a click here to bypass this ad. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
I'm sick of this shit.
I don't know.
Really?
I want to know their click-through rate, too. Like, who's not accidentally clicking that stuff? Who's like, ooh, I really needed a power converter. Let me just go and not do what I was about to do. Oh.
Ads on the site. They're fine, right? The ads down the side, which they've got. They're fine,
Yeah.
But, God, not a full-page pop-up ad with a 30-second countdown timer.
Yeah.
God, buy a clue. Send me your EDN. Send me your PayPal account, and I'll send you $1 so you can buy a clue. Was that...
That's a nice little...
too harsh? Was that too harsh?
A little harsh, but it's okay.
No,
I think it's
all right.
well served. It doesn't help the engineer at all.
No, it doesn't.
I immediately ignore it. There's nothing I'm going to do except expressly ignore it.
Absolutely. Yep.
If you want to make
Whereas
me angry,
the ads on the side, I might have a look.
Yeah.
My eyes might dart over and have a glance at the ads on the side. Oh, that looks interesting. I'll have a click.
Yeah.
And
it's really not
But
even
not
them.
when
It's we shouldn't tell EDN. We should be telling the advertisers because they're the ones that are paying gobs of money for that kind of stuff.
Yes, they pay huge dollars to do that. So just like a lot of companies pay top dollar to be on the front cover of the magazines.
Oh yeah,
the industry mags and stuff like that.
You had told me
they
about
pay
that
huge
a while back, and I had never heard of that.
Yeah, they do it. They've been doing it it's been going on ever since magazines have been around. Companies have been paying top dollar. There's a front cover rate, to have your product mentioned on the front cover of a magazine.
Yeah.
You pay a lot more. And a lot of companies, they do it, Silicon Chip is famous for not doing it.
Yeah.
They get approached all the time for, oh, look, can we, what's your rate for putting something on the front cover? And Leo says the front cover's not for sale,
Yeah,
which is
take
great. Take that, advertiser.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
So it's great. So, but companies do that. And likewise, they pay top dollar for these pop-up ads to be bang in your face every time.
Yeah.
And granted, you can't... Well, I can blame EDN for taking the money and allowing the things. But, it starts with the advertisers, really.
Well, they're the ones that are going to change it, right? So if they say, well, we're not going to pay for that anymore. So tell your local chip companies that you don't like when they advertise on the front cover. You'd rather hear a story... I mean, honestly, I'd rather hear a story, too. If I hear a story from a friend or I hear it on... engineering radio, perhaps. Maybe not because...
Or the amp hour.
If I hear it on the amp hour, I'm definitely going to listen to it. But the thing is, I don't want to hear it if I have any inkling, and I know a lot of people are like this, if you have any inkling that they paid for a positive review, that's where it goes down, it goes south, with you and the Agilent scope, right? You got paid for that review. That is, you were above the board about that. But,
Oh, well, No, they offered to give me money, right? They came to me and they said, how much how much will it cost for you to review these new scopes we've got coming out? And I said, no, I don't accept money.
Oh, I thought you did.
Oh no, I
so you
didn't accept.
just-
I got a free scope out of it,
Oh,
like I do. You know, a lot
okay.
of they let me. A lot of companies will let me keep their gear, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
upfront about that. But no,
Oh, okay. That's,
no,
see, that's,
there was no money involved.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. I think people might have thought that you got paid for that review.
Oh no, not at all.
Okay.
Maybe they did. Well, everyone knows I got to keep the scope, but actually at the start they approached me. I didn't even know what type of scope. They said it was a real entry level one, but they didn't. That's all they told me, and I thought, oh, it's going to be like a $400
Yeah.
Rygol. It's going to be down at the $400 price point, and it's going to
Yeah.
knock Rygol off their socks. And I had no idea they were going to be. Well, not expensive, but they were actually going to be reasonably high-end
Right.
scopes, as they were. So I only found out that sort of when they actually arrived, and I opened the box and I went, holy shit, this looks kind of,
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
And, so...
See, now, and
no, but they...
that's the
yeah,
thing. Whenever
money.
whenever I sense that someone's getting paid to advertise something like that, like, if it's a legit review, I'll listen to it any day. If I think it's bought and paid for, I won't listen to it. It's just like how can you possibly be objective about it? So that's
No,
and
well,
I think that's
exactly.
a lot of people.
Well, that's what I try and be. I mean,
Hell, you
as you know,
smoked yours.
I point out all the negative things.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. Heck, I even showed the $12,000 scope that blew up.
It blew up.
For
I remember.
goodness sake,
Yeah.
and but that's their risk. And I always tell the manufacturers up front, if you send me something, then if it's bad, if it's shit, I'm going to say it's shit. And if there's something wrong with it, I'm going to call you on it.
Yep.
And some of them will actually ask to see the review beforehand, and I always say no. You send me the gear, you take your chances.
Yeah. Yep.
And really getting a free scope like that is not a big deal to me. It's
That's pretty nice.
It's not going to
I like
sway
it.
my opinion. It's nice. I went, oh, okay. I'm not going to turn it down if you're going to let me keep it.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to turn it down just to keep my credibility or something like that. It's just no, it's stupid because I can use that in tutorials in the future, and it's a valuable bit of gear.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm going to keep the damn thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it back in protest of that I don't get paid. Anyway, yes, they did offer me money, and I turned them down.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, I'm just saying that I always like it when I could tell that it's a when I hear it from a friend that that's what everybody's trying to do too. They're all trying to get people to make it seem like that, but people can still sniff that stuff out. So
they can. And that's why I will always have doubters when I do product reviews or anyone else that does product reviews.
Yeah.
They will, they'll always have people claiming, oh, you're doing them a favor and you've done a deal or you've, or you're, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. You can't win.
You know what I can't win
Even
with,
if you
Dave?
don't keep the gear.
Yeah.
What's that?
Contests. I can win with my contest. I can't win with my contest, actually. The 555
Okay.
contest, but that's done.
Tell us why.
iPads.
Why can't you win?
Why is everybody giving out iPads?
Oh, bloody hell.
I don't get
know.
it. You see this on Twitter, you see it online. I mean, you see it in
It's
magazines.
all engineering companies. Tektronix have got one at the moment. Another company's got one. You're giving away freaking... I
don't get it.
Because people lust over that stuff.
Really?
I
don't want
Well,
one.
apparently.
I would sell it right away. That's the first thing I would do.
I would probably sell it as well. Yeah, I've got too much tech in my life as it is.
Best case scenario, I'd give it away as a gift.
Right. Okay.
I don't know why they're picking iPads, though. I don't get it. Maybe I'm just a
because
wacko
they're
here.
lustworthy. They're a lustworthy item, for almost anyone. Like if you're going to get, I'm going to win a, I don't know, can't even think of something, just something ordinary and lame, right? But, the iPad is shiny, it's new, it's sexy, it's talked about, it's, envy-worthy and you
have to use
all that wank
iTunes to
stuff.
load it up and all that other crap you have to do.
I know.
Ugh.
It's,
No, thank you.
No.
But
Well, it's not a bad web platform apart from it can't do Flash, which is just a load of shit.
Right.
But yeah, just to have I know people. Actually, my brother-in-law won one. He actually won an iPad.
Yeah.
And I told him sell it, and he kept it. No, because he keeps it on the coffee book. He keeps it on the table in the lounge room, and it's wireless, and he uses it as just a little simple web platform.
Why
that's
are they
just
giving
there.
it away with like design contests? It's like the consolation prize for every. It's I hate it. I think it's it's so dumb. It's like, you're doing these electronics design contests, and then you see an iPad. It's like, well, that has nothing to do with anything that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, can't it be an oscilloscope or a multimeter or something? But anyway, didn't you mention in one of our very first episodes that when you went to the Open Source Hardware Summit, almost everyone had an iPhone?
Yeah, they were just a lot of Apple products.
Right, a lot of Apple products because they're highly lusted after, and the advertisers, the companies know that.
Yeah.
That I mean, I've been to the trade show stands. Our company's guilty of this too.
Yeah.
And when I've been on the trade show stand, we gave away, an iPhone. iPads weren't out back then, but an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
And every couple of twice a day or something, and you'd see hundreds of people flock into the stand at the time of the drawing to win their, to win the iPad. They'd all just flock in and go, oh, and they're practically foaming at the mouth. Is my name going to be drawn out to win the iPhone?
Yeah.
Man, it gets them in. If you did that, if you did a multimeter, only half the people would turn up. Not even.
I guess so.
A tenth. Anyway. No idea.
I guess I'm just.
But yes, it's annoying. Normal. I see them everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Well, let's talk about first, because I mentioned that before. So the first.
Yes.
So one of my favorite shows on NPR. I'm an NPR junkie.
You are an NPR junkie who stole my voice. Yep.
Your voice?
Bastards. Yeah, they stole my
that's
voice
right.
in
that's
NPR
right.
radio.
That's right. Yeah, they quoted you for the Kindle review. That's right. And so one of the shows, though, they were interviewing Neil Bascom, who has a new book, and it's called The New Cool. It's about the first robotics competition.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so basically he follows around a team for a year, or maybe less than a year, but basically it goes through all about the first competition and how it's like how you mentioned before, how there's a lot more females on teams now, and just how it's this is kind of the new first is the movement that might help science across the world
and get back. Yeah, exactly. It's a shame that it's only a book. That would have made a good doco, if they followed him around with cameras and
I wonder I'm sure someone's done that,
trials and tribulations. I just think that'd make a great doco.
Yeah. But yeah, they talked about some stats on there. So right now there's 20,000 teams for
wow.
That's for the first.
Think about that.
That's for the Lego, but that's elementary school kids.
Oh, right. I was going to say, because what is there, at least 5 people per team. That's 100,000 kids involved in this thing. That's just ridiculous, at least.
Yeah. And, but even 100, say there are, 2 people a team, even 40,000 kids working on Lego robotics, which means they're programming or, modified programming. That's a pretty good start, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And
he talks about them, they're working until 3 a.m. in the morning because they're so passionate about this stuff. And that's
the other thing. The teacher he ends up following the most ended up winning. His name's Amir, and he won a Genius Grant. So a MacArthur Genius Grant. He's the first public school teacher to ever win one. And it's because he worked the robotics into the curriculum. So these kids are working on this stuff in class where he'll give them a design problem, and he just says, go figure it out. And
man, I wish I had this when I was a kid.
I know.
I'm just so envious of today's kids. I really am.
So he's the physics teacher. Guess what he used to do, though?
Oh, what?
Engineer. That's right.
Engineer. Well, of course. Yeah. That makes sense. Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was a brilliant story, and so I'll link in the show. You can actually listen to the hour show with Diane Rehm, and but man, it's so great. And so I've got the book on order. I got to read it, but. And and especially the new cool. I mean, you think about the title, right? What if electronics actually became cool? I don't know.
It's certainly not uncool anymore, and that's what's good about it. When I was beat up in the playground for bringing Electronics Australia magazine to school, so I could read it in the corner in the playground.
Yeah.
Once the kids saw that, you're what's this shit? And they'd rip it apart and beat you up.
Yeah.
That's God. That's what used to happen in my day. Now it's not because, it's cool to work on this shit.
That's awesome.
So it's great.
That's really great.
Love it.
And Dean Kamen was on the show too. He was there talking about, because he's if people don't know, he's the one who started invented the Segway and his company Deca Research. But
that's right.
He had a really great quote on there, I thought. And basically, through the program, he says math. Students realize math is the hardest fun that they'll ever have. And that's
neat.
And you think about it. You think about sitting back in your classes in like 7th, 8th grade, like learning like pre-algebra and algebra and pre-calc and all that other crap. You sit there and you're like, what the hell do I need this for? Well, if you go out and you work on a robot, you know exactly what you need it for, because you have to go figure out how to integrate something so you can, figure out your integrating amplifier, right? I mean, like,
yep,
it's brilliant. So
love it.
I get very excited when I hear these things, so I definitely wanted to talk about it. It was.
I'm sorry, but math is still not fun.
It's not, but if you have context,
yeah, I know. If you have context to use it, yeah,
you need context.
But, I've found that the more engineering you do, you find that you are amazed at the amount of engineering you can do with very little math.
I totally agree.
It depends on what it depends on what area you're into, of course. But look, I've been in the industry for more than 20 years. I'm yet to use an integral.
Yeah.
It's
well,
just,
you know the concept though, like so you'll know the concept.
Oh, of course, yeah, I know. You've got to understand the concepts, of course, because they're important. But to actually
integrate,
go and solve those integrals that you learned at uni, it's just no. I've never had to.
You won't have to. And who was I talking to about that? I think I was talking to my fiance about that. Like with integrating or even electronics, like you don't need math. Eventually, you need rules of thumb, right? So
absolutely
that I equals CVDT. Right, C dVdt, which means that the current in a capacitor equals the capacitance times the change in voltage, right? And so that's a concept right there. You need to know that.
The concept, exactly.
And so if you're looking at a graph of something and you see that you have a spike going into a integrating op amp circuit, right? Configured like an integrator, then you know that that's going to create a step function. And like that's math right there, right? So you have a delta function, which then integrates to a step function. That's a big concept right there. But you need to know that, and you don't need to know how to actually go and calculate it. You don't need to know that. You don't need to go and figure out the
usually you don't have to.
Right.
Some fields, I do know guys that do that sort of stuff every day. But it's
true.
Very, very few.
Right.
It's very few people. So.
Right. Yeah, and that's another thing I was talking to about. How they teach to the highest level, and not saying they shouldn't, because I think there is a lot of need for that, because students need to figure out if they want to keep going or target those fields, or
come back as a teacher to continue the trend of teaching the teaching the high end stuff.
Right. Yeah, you always got to. Unfortunately, you do have to teach to that sometimes, but when you actually got the practical side of things, I mean, you're going to be more rules of thumb and just kind of figuring out anecdotal type stuff. So
that's right. Awesome. Well, we've got a few minutes left.
What to discuss?
Your
choice. Your choice,
we pissed
Dave.
away half the show talking about changes. Are we talking about ourselves?
Yeah.
I love it.
How about I got something related here. Not really.
Right.
So the future first stars. Did you see the thing about Natalie Portman used to be a Intel finalist?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that was
there you go.
So one of our listeners, Eduardo, wrote in about this. Natalie Portman used to be she was some finalist. So people don't know she's an actress, just won an Academy Award.
Yep.
But that's the thing that I hate about that is that's when science gets a mention. It's like, oh, someone won an Academy Award and they used to be a nerd.
Yeah.
Hey, science. What do you know?
Can I have a rant? Can I have an American rant on that?
Yes, but only after I mentioned that we'll post a video of Natalie Portman from when she's that young doing a ridiculous dance video. Anyways,
right, okay,
it rivals the Bjork video. I'll just say that.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Got to check that out. Now, last night on the news, I think it was last night.
Okay.
Natalie Portman, right? Because it's to do with Natalie Portman. As we talk about on the Amp Hour, of course.
Right.
We talk about movie celebrities here. And, and there was was it Mick Huckabee or somebody, some dickhead US politician, right, came on and said that she's a bad role model because she's having a kid out of wedlock. Piss off! Really? Seriously?
Yeah.
I need to send him $1 so he can buy a Clue as well. God,
yeah.
I think it was him. Anyway, it was on the news last night, and it just stuff like that just pisses me off. It's like, go away.
I know.
Take your shit somewhere else.
Yeah.
Really. Anyway, so there you go. There's our non sequitur for today's Amp Hour.
That's Dave letting a little steam off there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do we have time for one more thing?
Yep, go for it.
Okay. So one last unrelated thing, but kind of related to the first competition. There's another radio show I was listening to. It was out of Boston, and it was a guy, I mentioned the book on here before, Shop Class as Soulcraft. And basically he's a guy who's a professor now. He used to be, in some think tank somewhere, basically, and then he became a motorcycle mechanic, and now he teaches part-time as well. But they were making the point for kind of what we were talking about, like how the high-level math stuff, it's important, and you should learn it, but it's much more important to focus on the apprentice side of things. So that's what they were pushing for on the show.
Yep.
And I think you've mentioned before that you kind of did like an apprentice type shit thingy, right? I mean, like with your...
No, I didn't do an apprentice thing.
Oh, I thought you said you did that when you started out with board design stuff, but...
No, not at all. I've never done an apprenticeship. Nope.
Anyways,
I went and studied and got a real job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they were talking about that. I thought it was an interesting point, just kind of because there's such a focus on college stuff these days and sending people to college, that there's just a really big place for apprenticeship, and that it's not there anymore. So I don't know.
I'm curious to know if the US is like Australia in this, but the term apprenticeship has a bad connotation. Like it's got a blue collar, connotation to it. Like the greatest you can aspire to as an apprenticeship is to be a Sparky. That's like...
A Sparky is...
and...
Like an electronics tech.
Electrician.
Oh, okay. Oh.
And
okay.
grunt who wires up houses,
okay.
right?
Okay.
I think Sparky's not a term used in the US.
No, I don't use it. I don't know.
Australian specific, is it?
No,
okay.
I don't.
Sparky.
Anyway.
Yeah, but anyway, that's generally where apprenticeship stops in engineering.
Yeah.
Really, in Australia is at that sort of level.
Yeah.
So which I think's a real shame.
I think so too.
Is that the same in the US, or do they have like real engineering jobs as apprenticeships?
I think it's all. You're right. It's all more like electricians, plumbers, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But you think about the amount you learn on the job. I mean, like some of it.
Oh, of course.
You could do. I mean, like I could have learned probably 80%. Now, I was known to have the knowledge that I have from my college degree, right? That I can learn it.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, if you had someone you were confident in, why couldn't you teach them on the job? So.
Yeah, of course. So, I think it should be extended.
Yeah, I agree.
To engineering and the other professional fields,
right. And then when
I think
you do
we need to get away from that stigma of...
Right. And then when you do have someone that's an apprentice for like a couple of years, and then they realize they really like it, they want to go back, and then they go learn that higher level math and how to apply it. And I think that's a good situation right there. They know what they're getting into. They know they have a couple bucks in their pocket, so they actually afford school, right? And
that's right. As opposed to coming out with a $50,000 or $100,000 debt.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. That was just. I thought that was an interesting.
It's all good
conversation as well. So
you'll get no argument from me at all.
I'm sure some of our listeners will. So bring it on.
Yeah, probably.
We're gonna have
bring it on.
A hell of a comment section this week between. Let's see. We got all the
advertising and all that sort of
stuff,
sponsorship and all that. That's just going to get ready for the avalanche.
Yes.
And, and Dave is a sellout. And I'm waiting for it. Come on. Come on. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we'll deal with the fallout next week, huh?
We will. That's all we got.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.
See ya.